Hello everyone and welcome back to Harmia. This video is about barley. Yes, barley. Maybe that doesn't sound very sexy, but the importance of barley in ritual, as an offering, and in our ancestors' lives in general, it can't be overestimated. I'm also going to show you hands-on ways how you can incorporate barley in your spiritual practice to make it more authentic. So, barley. At first glance, it's a simple grain, humble, ancient, almost forgotten in our modern world. I never see it in my store. But to our Indo-European ancestors, barley wasn't just food, it was life, it was purity, it was a bridge to the divine. In all the pagan branches, if we want to call it that, throughout Indo-European traditions, culture, literature and worship, we see an extensive use of barley. From the Baltic to the Aegean, from the Vedic plains of India to the misty isles of the Celts, barley appears again and again in myth, ritual and prayer. It was the first cultivated grain in most Indo-European cultures, and because it sustained the body, it was believed to also sustain the soul. So it was revered as the staff of life. It was sacred because it was seen as the first cultivated grain taught by the gods. It was a divine gift, something humans didn't invent but were entrusted with. And as so often with me, let's use etymology to help us understand. The earliest Indo-European word for barley is yéwos. The Sanskrit word is yava, the proto-Iranian word is yavas, the Avestan word is yava. And if we compare this to the proto-Indo-European word yéwesa, and that is the instructions and guidance of functioning and well-tested rituals and mantras that they had, almost like a ritual law or ritual order, then we see that they share the same etymological root. So there's a straight line between the divine and barley. Even if we look at today's Persian word for sacrifice or offering, it's yad. So still the same root as barley. Even the name of the Indonesian island Java shares this etymology. It was known in the ancient world as the divine island of barley, an Indo-European word way before what they say nowadays, and way before a cup of java or a cup of joe meant coffee. There was a time when the world was dharmic, from Ireland in the west to the Philippines in the east. So an advice to pagans is therefore to definitely incorporate barley into your spiritual practice and in your life in general. Barley was much more than agriculture. It was cosmos. To sow barley was to repeat the act of creation. It represented the ordered world, cosmos, rising out of chaos. And Indo-European peoples believed that to harvest barley was to take part in the gifts of the gods. Demeter in Greece, Ceres or Ceres in Rome, Frau Holle and Siv in the Germanic world. In the Vedic hymn, barley or yava was a sacred plant blessed by the gods and used in rituals of prosperity. Before we get to the guide to how to make so-called hador, I'm gonna give you some more inspiration for how to use barley in your own pagan spiritual practice. And after this video, you should also definitely check out our video about how to make barley cakes. It's actually one of the very oldest offerings there is that we know of. Now, the earliest Indo-European cultures brewed barley ale as one of the oldest ritual drinks. And we still use it in whiskey, for example. Celts and Germanic peoples shared barley beer during cymbal or bloat feasts, passing a cup and making oaths. In the Vedic tradition, barley was used to brew sura, a ritual drink offered to the gods during rituals and consumed both by priests and commoners in their feasts. Among them, barley grains were also thrown directly into the sacrificial fire, Agni, while reciting mantras. Barley mixed with ghee, and that is clarified butter, that became a high offering, very important. In Greek rites, we see burning barley on coals was a simple household sacrifice when no animal was used. So that's definitely also something you can do. Barley was also often the first offering in any sacrifice, a quiet acknowledgement of life's foundation. Before blood was shed, barley was scattered on the altar and over the victim, and only then could fire or the knife be used. In some Indo-European traditions, barley itself was the sacrifice. Handfuls of barley or cakes made from it were burned for the gods of the field and hearth. That's, again, check out that video. In the Eleusinian mysteries in Greece, the initiates drank the so-called kykion, a sacred barley drink mixed with water and herbs. And they did that to experience the secrets of life, death, and rebirth. Again, in the Vedic fire ritual, barley was cast into the flames as havis, a pure offering to Agni, the fire god, who then carried it with him to the heavens. So barley stood at the meeting point of human and divine. It fed both mortals and gods. Whenever ritual purity was required, barley was always there. In ancient Greece, the worshippers entering a temple, they would sprinkle roasted barley grains or barley flour, so-called alfita, over altars, offerings, and even themselves. And this wasn't just a decoration, it was a purification, a way of separating the sacred from the unclean. And the Roman priests, they used salted barley meal called vola salsa, prepared by the Vestal virgins to sanctify the sacrificial animals. And only when the animal was touched with barley could it become acceptable to the gods. In the Vedic ritual, barley flour mixed with water made saktu, a sacred food offered in the fire rituals, so-called homa. They were believed to purify both the priests and the participants. Among the ancient Celts, barley water and beer were used in rites of blessing and protection. They were sprinkled on people, weapons, or boundary stones. Barley was believed to absorb impurity, ward off evil, and restore cosmic order. So you can't overestimate the importance. Today, many of us feel the pull of the old ways, the call of the land and the gods, our old gods. They are old indeed, but they are always here. Reviving barley in ritual is a simple, powerful way to reconnect. So you can scatter barley on your altar before offering, for example. You can bake simple barley cakes for ancestor rites or harvest festivals. You can mix barley with salt or herbs for protection or purification. Use barley beer or barley porridge in libations to the gods and spirits of the land, because by doing so we honor a tradition older than temples, older than the written myth, carried in the hands of farmers, in the prayers of priests, and in the heartbeat of the very earth. Already in the ancient world, animal sacrifice was quite often exchanged for the offerings of, for example, bread or cakes made of barley, often in the shape of an animal. The gods find grains to be an acceptable substitute to animal victims. So that's also something you can do. Check out that video. And if you ever consider carrying a staff of some kind when you act as the ritual leader or priest, then a barley-clad one would definitely be fitting, would be very authentic. Now let's make hador, literally meaning dry stuff, a sacred barley mix that you can use in your rituals and to purify your home and many other things. Let's go.